So I honestly, I need to know what it was like for you for about 10 seconds, one play of your entire life to be the biggest Washington Redskins fan in the world.
First of all, it's either the R words or the racial slurs.
Sorry.
And it was intense. I will start by saying that I don't think there's a Redskin, an R words fan through the entire life. Like whether they're 20, whether they're 60, whether they're 100 years old, no one was a bigger Reds R words fan than yours truly, Ben Morgan. The Miami Dolphins couldn't have won that game. Oh, I would have lost it. I have so much to say, but let's get loaded because this is the Loaded Box Podcast.
Where we never finish first because we finish last.
Oh, yes. I want to get right back to that, DJ. I am Ben Morgan. That is DJ Primo. We're going to be doing our Week 7 fantasy football preview right now. Holy cow, it's Week 7 already. But yes, you're the Miami Dolphins. You bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick. The dude is historically known for just making the stupidest of comebacks for the worst teams. What the hell did they think that they were doing? You don't win anything by winning that game. You mean to tell me going around beating the Washington racial slurs is going to cost you a chance to a Tagovailoa? What in the world are you doing? That was so stressful. I was sweating. It's cold here. It's cold in Wisconsin. I was sweating watching that.
Correction, it is Joe Burrow, who is the now number one pick, who stuck his D so far up by Florida's defense that was supposed to be really good. Joe Burrow is the number one pick, the leading man, but I just was sitting there with all the intensity in the world, just knowing, I felt like I could feel your energy, and that's weird because I don't do that weird shit, but I could feel how, intense you must have been. And that 10 seconds, I'm like, oh my God, Ben really doesn't want Miami to get this too quick. Honestly, I think the R-Words fans and the Dolphins fans just switch teams
for 10
seconds.
Absolutely.
10 seconds, they switch teams completely.
There's not a doubt in my mind, and I'm so happy you brought up the idea of having psychic reading powers because I've got something for you at the tail end of this podcast. I'm going to tease it though for the time being because I want to get into some Week 7 daily fantasy sports stacks, bargains, must use, must avoid, just general advice. We've got some fantasy football listener questions. So DJ, as always, let's kick it off with your bargain quarterback play of the week.
First off, I am drinking a premium alcohol seltzer.
Sounds lovely. What flavor?
It's you want pomegranate ginger, and it contains 4% alcohol, so I'm having a juice box.
You're having a spiked juice box compared to my hunting bush light can. Nothing makes me feel like more of a man than drinking these hunting bush lights. When if I see a gun, I just get really scared.
Oh man, those will make me buy them. All right, so week 7.
Week 1.
I did some little bit of studying going into this one. I am going with the bargains for quarterbacks are going to be higher, so 7,300 is a bargain. I'm going 7,300 versus Houston. I'm going with Jacoby Brissett. Houston has been 24th against the pass this year. 24th, not great. But on the road, they've been even worse. They've given up 70 more yards on the road than at home this year. They're going into Indy. Brissett's coming. I think the Colts are coming off of a bye.
Yep.
T.Y. Hilton's going to light it up here at home. My son's getting into the podcast.
He's starting them early.
He's trying out. Brissett's a good quarterback. I think this will be a high-scoring game. It's going to go back and forth. We've seen what Deshaun Watson can do. I think grabbing guys on both sides of this matchup would be a good idea. But they're definitely not going to be able to run it as well as they did against Kansas City because Kansas City just can't stop the run to save their life. They can't really stop anything, honestly. So they should have been the one somehow getting Jalen Ramsey. But I love Jacoby Brissett this week.
I was telling you that I was super high on Brissett, and I picked him up in a couple of redraft leagues the week that they played the Chiefs on Sunday night, and he followed it up with his worst game of the freaking year. So I'm a little sour on Jacoby Brissett right now, but I get it. I mean, he's played some pretty good defenses so far against the pass, and he was averaging right around 20 points per game for those. Only had the 12 against the Chiefs, which comes as a bit of a surprise just because we've seen what every single team has done to the Chiefs this year. So that makes me a little bit nervous about using Brissett. But when it comes to daily fantasy, I don't necessarily know that there's going to be a ton of people using Jacoby. And Houston's pass defense isn't what it's been like historically over the last couple of years. I mean, they've struggled, but they've always had like a crazy ass pass rush. And J.J. Watt's still there, but without Clowney, they just haven't been as consistent at getting to the quarterback. I like that play. It's not one of the guys that I'm considering right now, but I'm kind of with you on that one. I think I could get behind using Brissett in one of my lineups this week.
My favorite thing, I don't know if you were watching any of that Chase Texans game, but Carlos Hyde scored early in that game, and they were still down, but you could pick up his audio, and he's like, they can't fucking stop us.
I did catch that.
Yeah, it was great. It was amazing.
That's I know, I caught that too. I'm just like, what did he just say? And who said that? Like, it had to have been Hyde, and that was one of your guys last week.
Yeah, he wasn't wrong though. He wasn't wrong. They couldn't.
Not even a little bit. So my quarterback in my stack of the week is also $7,300, and I'm stacking him with a wide receiver who's a bit more expensive. It's Kirk Cousins and Adam Thielen. Here's the one. I'm going to tell you right away why I'm a little nervous about this.
Don't do this. You're 1 week too late.
That's the thing. No, I used him in the redraft league last week. You gave me crap. It didn't matter. It worked. But 3 weeks ago, Cousins, the 3 weeks before the last 2 weeks. So Cousins' last 2 weeks had like 28 and 20 points. The weeks before that, 7, 12, 10, 14. Nothing to write home about whatsoever. That offense, ever since Stephon Diggs did his, I'm going to freak out a little bit. I'm going to talk about trade rumors. I'm going to be really, just kind of a loose cannon. Something has sparked. It's not like they're going against a crazy great team. They're playing the Lions, who can be okay against the pass, but it's nothing I'm going to end up fearing. And here's why I like Thielen over Diggs. Diggs is your ultimate, you're coming off the high of the highs, the 7 catches, whatever, 100-plus yards, the 3 touchdowns. Thielen still had a nice game, and Thielen's floor, in my opinion, is always safer than what Diggs is. So there's not a lot of quarterbacks I really like on the main slate of DFS this week, but the stack of Cousins and Thielen, I put together an entire lineup that I really like, and those two are my biggest stack. So I'm all in on that one.
Oh.
I have one other one, but I'll let you talk about Cousins.
You are going to regret every single second of playing Cousins. That complaining from Thielen didn't spark anything. It was the next 2 games schedule where you guys have to play against
that helps.
A garbage team in the Giants and the worst secondary in the entire league in the Philadelphia Eagles. And just blitzed them. It was easy. Now he has to face the Lions, who are a semi-okay team, trying to... I don't see him having a good day in this week. It's just going to go right back downhill. They're going to be angry. Although I did play Stephon Diggs in FanDuel last week and in a fantasy league, so I had a nice huge week from him, and he should have had one more long touchdown.
Right.
But I am not using Kirk Cousins after 2 good games against crap teams at all, not by any means.
All right, so I mentioned that there was really only a couple of quarterbacks I liked this week. The other one that I sort of like, a little bit more expensive, $7,700 on FanDuel. Kyler Murray. Neither of us want him as our franchise quarterback right now. I need to give it a little bit more time. But, man, in fantasy so far this year, in half-point PPR, 4-point passing touchdown, he's averaging nearly 22 a game. The last 2 weeks, 25 and 28. And now he gets a game, the ultimate matchup against the Giants, 31st in the league against fantasy quarterbacks. My only hesitation is this one's on the road. That's my only little bit of hesitation. But I basically told myself, if I'm not going to end up using Cousins, if someone like you or something else talks me out of him, I think I'm going to go Murray in DFS this week. What are your thoughts on Kyler?
I mean, you can never really go that wrong with a rushing quarterback in fantasy league. So, I hate Lamar Jackson. I don't like Kyler Murray. As quarterbacks, they're going to win you football games, in real life, where it matters, when you're a fan of that team. But when it comes to fantasy, their floor is so high because you've got Lamar Jackson going for 90 yards on 3 runs last week.
It's ridiculous.
He doesn't really have to do much. He sucked against the Bengals. They ended up being bad. Their defense isn't very good. Yeah, he put up fantasy points just because he can run, really. Right. He did have a great game. The Bengals aren't a good football team. They let them get, they lost 23-17, but they just weren't even scoring in the second half of that game at all. Baltimore is not good. Their defense is bad. Their offense isn't very good. It's weird.
Yeah,
they're not a good I just don't understand that division.
Oh, for sure. No, we talked about it in the last podcast where, like, you know what? Lamar is shown a little bit of regression defenses. When he plays against a good defense, like his numbers and his ability to like win games on his own hasn't been there. But I said, wait one
Was
more week because they play the Bengals. You got to give it one more week. So that was last week. This week I'm not touching. I'm not a big fan of Lamar this week either.
And it's not even like he played great. He didn't play good against the Bengals. That's the thing. He blitzed the Dolphins because they don't care. They traded their
Mm-hmm.
entire team away before that.
You're right.
And then he's played against crap teams. Like Bengals are literally Dolphins, Cardinals, like level, Redskins level of team.
Right.
So it's not. I'm not impressed with Lamar Jackson whatsoever.
No, I'm not there yet either. Let's go on to your bargain running back of the week. Who do you got?
So my guy here is coming off injury. I'm going with Devin Singletary, $5,800. He practiced on Monday. He's going against your team, Miami. What did Adrian Peterson go for last week?
What I tell you, I said use AP. He went over 100. Should have had a touchdown, but they fumbled it at like the one. Yeah, it was
he
good game.
Went over 100 yards. They couldn't run the ball all year. They face Miami. They can run the ball just like everybody else. Second worst in the league against the run. And Singletary is coming back with a vengeance. They're going to revive that running game. Hasn't really been that great without him. I'm plugging Singletary, and I'm going to plug him right into my lineup. I've been stashing him on the bench, waiting for him to come back. What more perfect moment to have him come back and just destroy a team like Miami? It's going to be great.
I'm actually upset that I missed this one. A lot of the times when I look at like the DFS lineups and I'm picking my guys, I have been targeting guys that have been playing the Dolphins. Like last week when I was saying, who are you going to use? Chris Thompson, Adrian Peterson. Typically, I'm not willingly going to use either of those. They play the Dolphins. They were both realistic options. Adrian Peterson turned out pretty good. I am pissed that I missed Devin Singletary at that price. The one thing I'm reading right now, he was on the field Monday for practice, which is more than he's done. They just came off of the bye week. The Bills, at the end of the day, are a team that's going to run the ball anyways, and you play the Dolphins, who are like second to last against the run. As always, pay attention to the injuries, but there's not a negative thing that I could say about using Devin Singletary if he suits up, if he's expected to get his normal workload. I mean, that's stealing at that price. People against the Dolphins should go up about $1,000 of where FanDuel thinks they typically are.
Let's do it.
All right, so that was your bargain running back. Let me tell you, because I went the opposite way with a running back. I knew you were going to go bargain. I went expensive. I went with the third most expensive running back this week. He goes by the name of Leonard Fournette because he has been on a tear. And guess what? You talk about the Dolphins running defense being bad. The Bengals happen to be the one team that ranks lower than them. They are dead last against running backs. Look at what Fournette's been doing lately. First, I'm going to tell you, he's had 5 straight games playing defenses that have been ranked 18th or higher. 3 of them have been in the top 10. In those games, double digits every single one of them, over 20 in 2 of them, and he's averaging nearly 16 per week. They are going to run the hell out of the ball. I mean, Gardner Minshew, the whole like mania and all of his big stats and everything going around it, we've seen it taper off a little bit. I know DJ Chark kind of let us. There you go. He let us both down a little bit last week. But the main constant on this team when the Jaguars are going to be doing good is Leonard Fournette. And yeah, you're going to pay. But hey, if you got Devin Singletary in your lineup, you can make room for the third most expensive guy in Fournette. Like, I'm all in on spending big at running back on Fournette this week.
Yeah, I looked at him. I was like, oh, Fournette plays the Bengals, the one team worse than the Dolphins. But obviously, doing bargain picks, I can't pick him.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are going to use him. So if you're in a tournament format, maybe not so much in that. But if you're going head to head, you want to kind of cancel that out if somebody else uses him. But definitely definitely in a head to head, smaller type of situation, definitely use him.
Yeah, I actually picked out 3 other bargain running backs this is why I said I'm upset about Singletary. He didn't even make my list of other bargains that I was considering. So of these 3 bargains that I'm probably going to end up finding into a lineup somewhere along the line, which one would you prefer if you were going to go with one of them? You've got Josh Jacobs, 6,700 at Green Bay, Derrick Henry, 6,500 versus the Chargers, or Tevin Coleman, 6,200 at the Washington R Words.
Between the Packers really stopped the run last night.
They did.
Really
I
well.
was impressed by that. I thought Carry-On was going to go for like $120 at least.
Yeah, they couldn't get anything going on the ground. I mean, they really couldn't get anything going after the first two drives at all. They had the best field position.
Here's the thing I would say about Josh Jacobs though. They had their bye week prior to that. He was running on that Bears defense. Like that's the one team you're not going to usually have success against. I was telling people left and right to not use Jacobs that week. He had a lot of yards and he scored a touchdown. Yeah,
well, I just expect them to get behind as well, and
that
too. And the Packers just kind of go off right there.
Yeah.
So it was who were the other? Now you got me all thrown off.
No worries. Jacobs versus the Packers. Derrick Henry versus the Chargers. Tevin Coleman versus the R Words.
God, I really, really, really like Tevin Coleman, and it seems like he's already starting to retake over the top running back spot in that lineup. But Derrick Henry versus the Chargers, I think they're the weakest up the middle, and he's just going to get the ball like crazy. I have to give the slight edge just because there's a little shared backfield in San Francisco, because that's just what they're going to do, and that's what's going to work for them. And it happened with Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. That's just kind of what Shanahan does, and it works.
Right.
So I'm going to go with Derrick Henry.
I can't hate on that. I literally can't answer my own question because what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 3 separate lineups and I'm going to throw each one into one of them because I like them all. I don't know if I want to necessarily, if you paired like 2 of them together, you could go super expensive at quarterback and receiver or get one of the highlighted like tight ends. But my strategy I think is to put Fournette in every lineup, do 3 lineups, and then just plug all 3 of those guys in a different lineup. Well, now even 4 that you brought in Devin Singletary to the conversation. But FanDuel's going to get some of my money this week. That's for damn sure.
That's why we have flex and shit.
Boom. I like the flex idea. Let's go with your bargain play wide receiver.
All right, so we've talked about the team that we're going to. I've already, what's the word I want to say, slandered this team's good name. I'm going Tyler Lockett, $6,500. They're playing against Baltimore. Baltimore, like I said, they have this reputation, and they were a good defense last year. But guess what? This year, they stink. They are a bad defense. They're giving up tons of yards to the air. They're 25th against the pass, giving up 270 yards per game. Going out to Seattle. Seattle plays great at home. Russell Wilson's playing out of his mind. Lockett's going to go off. I don't know who's going to cover him. That's his top guy. DK Metcalf had a solid game last week. I can't not take Tyler Lockett against the Baltimore Ravens defense right now. They just can't stop the pass. They can't do it.
My usual Tuesday morning looks like this, DJ. I log onto my computer. I go through every single one of my fantasy teams, and I already set my lineup for the next week, and then I start looking at like waivers and everything. Like I make changes throughout, but I just want to get an idea of like what positions I may need to target.
I'm completely opposite.
Well,
I am. I get up on Tuesday, I look at the waiver wire, do everything, and then I set my lineup come Wednesday.
Well, one way or another, we were doing the same thing. It's just in different order. Whatever. Where I'm going with this is I saw that I had a flex spot open and Tyler Lockett was playing the Ravens. And I was like, that's not great. And then I'm like, wait a minute. This isn't the Ravens of old. The Ravens have Marlon Humphrey, who is like their one shutdown guy, but he can be had. And I'm not 100% sure that he always trails like one guy in a game. And I'm not quite sure if the Seahawks would be one of those teams that would warrant a guy getting trailed all the time. Another thing about Tyler Lockett right now, Will Dissly's targets, in my opinion, are not going to go to Luke Wilson. I don't foresee Luke Wilson being the guy that comes in and has 4 straight double-digit games like Will Dissly had. For that reason, I think Lockett's going to get a boost. I think DK Metcalf's going to get a boost. We already saw Jerron Brown get a boost. I'm playing him in a redraft league. Daily fantasy, I could go either way on it. I can't hate the play, though.
Can't hate the player. You know what I love about today's trades with Jalen Ramsey is that like the Rams are like, here Eagles, just fucking take Marcus Peters, and they took him. Like that's going to improve their defense and not just give up more deep touchdowns because that's what Marcus Peters does. He's trash.
Marcus Peters is like that ultimate like boom or bust quarterback, you know.
He's so bad. touchdowns, and that's what the Eagles have been doing. So there's adding a guy who gives up long touchdowns. Great job.
I thought Marcus Peters died in that game when he crossed the goal line and got just dismantled by that guy.
Still alive, I think.
Donovan Smith stole his soul. All right, there's your bargain. That's your bargain wide receiver. So once again, I said, well, if you're going to go with an expensive option, literally the pick of anyone. My expensive wide receiver this week on FanDuel, $7,800, Cooper Kupp, playing against your favorite team to go against at Atlanta. So you're already in a dome. You're already playing a shit team. They're 27th against the pass. Here's the thing. Yeah, Cooper Kupp was terrible last week. 4 catches, 17 yards. The Rams in general were terrible. You've got people freaking out about this offense the same way people were freaking out about Minnesota after they played Chicago. You have to pay attention to who these people are playing shitty against. No one expected the Vikings to do good against the Bears. No one expected the Rams to do good against the 49ers. Now you have your ultimate, that team is going to have to produce this week. And they get the Falcons. And you getting a wide receiver who, before he had his 4 catch for 17 yards, put up 28 fantasy points, 22 fantasy points, 22 fantasy points the 3 weeks prior to that. Kupp and Goff have that chemistry. I know that there's 3 people, 3 main receivers competing for targets there, but Kupp is the one that's constantly getting the looks. Look at his targets this year. 10, 9, 12, 15, 17, and then last week was 6. He has a super safe floor when it comes to fantasy football. And as you saw, he put on 3 consecutive games where he scored 22 or more. Most expensive wide receiver, I have to go Kupp. Any beef with that pick?
No, I like the pick. I saw him, obviously, too expensive for my bargain taste.
Yeah.
But how much have I nailed Jared Goff coming into this season?
Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you what. The season before that, I was saying there's a lot of McVay to be credited for what the hell's going on here. Yep. And you were like, you know what? Yeah, tread lightly. When they re-signed him, I think they re-signed him while we were doing a podcast, and you're like, they're going to regret that. There was no hesitation.
Yeah, there was just things I didn't like. There was just some things during the playoffs and things that you could watch if you pay attention and watch the games, that you could see that it wasn't just a Super Bowl. That just kind of gave you pause, wait, what's going on here?
Right.
Why does he look like crap now that people are starting to play, understand the scheme a little bit, and he has to start making other decisions besides the first look, which was the SEC type offense, where it's one look, boom, guys open. Started to take away those guys, and now it's much more difficult for him, it seems like.
Oh, for sure. So your bargain wide receiver was Tyler Lockett at 6,500. I've singled out 3 guys under 6,000. I sort of have my eye on. Want to get your opinion as to which one that you would use if you had to use one of these 3. You got John Brown, 5,900 versus the Dolphins. Larry Fitz, 5,600 at the Giants, or Calvin Ridley, 5,500 versus the Rams.
Do we think Jalen Ramsey plays right away?
Oh, that's tough to tell because, he's been sitting out all these weeks, but has he been sitting out because he says, oh, I've got a back injury, or oh, I got the flu today, or oh, my baby mama is giving birth? I don't know if any of that was true.
Yeah, I highly doubt it. I'm sure he had a baby.
He might have had a baby.
I don't think you could really fake that, but if I have to go, if Jalen Ramsey is playing and obviously covering Julio Jones, then I'm going to favor Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be that guy that he's obviously going to go to, win those one-on-one matchups. I like him. Scored that touchdown, I think it was this last weekend.
Yep.
There's Charles, still old. John Brown, I can't get on board with John Brown. I don't know why. Because he's not that good, but I just can't get on board with it. Just can't do it.
The scary thing about using John Brown is you have to talk yourself in to the fact that you're going to play a Buffalo Bills wide receiver who's getting the ball thrown to him by Josh Allen.
And they scored 15 points a game.
They don't score much, I'll give you that. But he literally, talk about having a fairly safe floor. His low this year is 7.5. His high is 22. He's averaging 12 fantasy points per game. I would have never believed that, but this was one of those guys that I have in a redraft league, and because of like Cleveland's bye and a couple other bye weeks, I'm like, shit, I have to use John Brown. I looked at his matchup, I'm like, hell yeah, what a week to use John Brown. Like, I'm kind of excited to use John Brown.
Classic John Brown to make you think that he's good for a little bit before he like gets injured or just goes away for good the rest of the year.
But he usually does that after 3 or 4 weeks. We're in week 7 already. Maybe he's like going to double it up.
Yeah, I know. I still haven't seen much.
Yeah, safe floor.
Mm-hmm.
This is funny. Tell me about your tight end.
I just looked at yours as I scrolled down. I am going Jordan Akins, 4,600 at Indianapolis.
Now let me cut in because I'm going to go Darren Fells, 5,400 at Indianapolis. Here's the funny thing. Both of those might be okay plays, and I might even like yours better because he's $800 cheaper.
I think he's a better receiving option. Darren Fells is older, all that good stuff on my side. But they're splitting. They're basically splitting passing reps. So it's like just like your guess is as good as mine. But Indy has given up 203 FanDuel points to tight ends. That's third worst in the NFL behind the Bengals and the Chiefs. So if you have to go out there, I fucking hate the tight end options this year. Yeah. Hate them. They're so bad. Will Disley gets taken out, and now we have one less.
He was my guy.
It's already a cesspool of tight ends, and now we have one less. Like it's bullshit. Like, this is why I hate tight ends. When I say this every year, and people are like, "Oh, blah blah blah," you guys want to get them early? No, you don't. The top tight end is not that good either. Like, no tight ends are good at football. None. Like, I'm gonna go pick up Ron Gronkowski in week 11. I decided, and just hope that he comes back.
When you texted me on Sunday and said it looks like Will Disley's done for the year, I literally looked at my phone and threw it down because I picked him up in almost every league and every week in daily fantasy. He was my tight end because he wasn't all that expensive. And what a thing to just crash and burn on. Because I think Austin Hooper is like the best tight end right now in the league.
That's disgusting.
It's ridiculous. So use both those tight ends. Hell, start your guy at tight end, put my guy at the flex, whatever.
What's Travis Kelce even doing? I don't understand.
He's like the one Chiefs player. He's been okay, but he's like the one that hasn't had like that breakout week. And then like the Chiefs,
the far away the best tight end in football. It doesn't even make sense.
Chiefs in general are kind of just a big mystery right now. It's like
we've seen that regression from Mahomes that after 2 weeks everybody's like, oh, he's gonna throw 60 touchdowns. Nope, not anymore.
That's so true. Before we get to our fantasy football listener questions, you made me think about like the whole like psychic reading thing earlier. And I need to just cut in with a quick update, DJ, because on Saturday of last week, for the longest time, I have wanted to get a little bit of a buzz on and then go to a psychic reader who reads your palm.
Oh, me too.
So guess what?
Ever since you went to your house and drove by that one, I've wanted to go like every single time I see it.
So I pulled the trigger and I did it, and I got
went to that one.
Yep.
Oh, you asshole! I asked you that one night and you didn't go with me. This is bullshit. I don't understand you anymore.
Check this out though. It was well worth the $10. So I'm in there, and I learned a lot of things apparently. But the one thing that I learned, and ladies, this one's for you. I know that there's some of you out there. The palm reader psychic lady said that there are 2 ladies who love me. And she said, do you have any idea who they might be? And I said, well, I hope one of them's my wife. And she says, yes, I can see that one of them is your wife. She's your soulmate. Don't get tangled up with this other one. She goes, do you have any idea who this girl might be? And I said, no, I don't. Can you tell me any more? And she said, well, her name starts with either a C or a K. So ladies out there, all you Carries, all you Kellys, I know you got an eye for me. I know you're watching this on YouTube right now. I'm a taken man. You see the ring? I can't do it. I'm a one-woman man.
I'm convinced that you're going to have a baby girl and you're going to name it with something with a C or a K, and I'm going to freak out.
She did tell me that I was going to have a healthy baby boy.
Oh, did she say that?
The funny thing is, it was right after she told me she couldn't, based on the amount I paid in my palm, she couldn't tell me the future, but yet she told me that. What a racket.
That's crazy. I wish I could have gone to that, and I'm very upset that you didn't
I'll go back.
I'm going right now. right after this.
I should take a list of fantasy football questions in next time I go to that lady.
Like, what do you see? Do you see a championship in my future? That's all that matters.
Well, the first one I would ask her from a listener standpoint is Jared Goff at the Falcons or Kirk Cousins at the Lions.
That'd be great.
Since I can't ask Psychic Gina, I'll ask you.
I'm trying to think of your second lover. I'm so caught up in that. I'm going with. Well, I mean, Atlanta's been so trash. I mean, it's Goff. I just told you what I feel about Cousins. Atlanta's been so trash against the pass. Rams are coming with a vengeance. Like, they need to win a game. Hungry dogs run faster. Cousins sucks. Goff needs to win. McVay's going to cook some stuff up. They're going to let that baby fly.
Speaking of dogs, my wife got bit by a dog last night, so I'm wondering if that dog was a female and its name started with a C or a K.
It might be.
Oh, this sounds like very hypocritical because I said Kirk Cousins is my DFS quarterback this week, but in this particular matchup in a redraft, I sort of like Goff. Same things you said. I'm just going to go on to the next one because I feel like I really hypocrited it there, if that's a word.
Hypocrited it.
Number 2, a flex spot, a Thursday night flex spot. Mecole Hardman versus the Broncos or Royce Freeman versus the Chiefs.
I plugged in Royce Freeman already into one of my lineups.
Really?
Seeing him play against the Chiefs. I don't care that, like, when they're splitting 50-50, they're probably both going to go for 100 yards against the Chiefs. Lindsey and Freeman I'm talking about. Hardman's such a guessing game. Broncos are a really, really good defense against the pass. Not really close here. I don't trust the Chiefs right now. It's weird to say, but Freeman easily in this game.
I almost think that in this particular debate, you almost need to look at the rest of your lineup and try to project what you need. Do you need just safe points here, or do you I'm going to need some boom points this week? Because I think Freeman, he's probably going to get you 8 to 12 maybe in a standard league, maybe half PPR, whereas Hardman is probably going to get you 3 or 18. It's going to. Oh, what do you got for us breaking news wise?
The Titans are making a QB change. Ryan Tannehill is going to get the start Sunday against the Chargers. Marcus Mariota to the bench.
Oh, Tannehill. Marcus Mariota made it. What week are we in? We're in week 7. He made it 6 weeks and 2 quarters longer than we thought he would.
That's incredible, man.
How about that? Good for Tannehill. I'll wear his jersey on Sunday.
Are you going to cheer for him, you think?
Have to.
Kaya. He never did anything that bad to you.
No, he truly didn't. He was a competitor. He kept
you guys at mediocre for too long. I think that's what is that, and that may be worse than that's worse than losing.
But that's not on him though. That's on management for not making the thing. He was battling and he was winning half of the games he played in. That's good for him.
He was the Jeff Fisher of quarterbacks.
That's so true. Do you have anything else you would like to add besides the fact you want to go talk to Gina the next time I run there?
I got to figure out who C or K is. I'm going to think about that all night. It's probably Calvin Ridley. Let go of Calvin Ridley. Let go of him.
Let go. Matt
Ryan is not going to allow you to do it.
Well, ladies, if it's one of you, hit me up on Twitter at LoadedBox. As always, check out our website, loadedboxpodcast.com. Next episode, we'll be back later this week, Week 7 game-by-game picks against the spread picks. Available on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and YouTube. Subscribe, rate, and review. DJ, send us out.
Bye.